Ready. Play.
Welcome back to Talking Tennis, everyone. My name is Bianca, and it's time for another rankings breakdown. Let's get into it. Okay, for starters, we have to give a huge congratulations to Jannik Sinner. He is now our world number 3 with the title in Rotterdam. He moves up, replacing Medvedev in a spot. And honestly, he's number 3, but really he's been number 1. He is in a purple patch this year. He has been the best player far and wide out of everyone on the ATP Tour. He is undefeated, and he seems unstoppable right now. Like, he has just found his form. He's clicked, he's locked in, and I honestly don't really know who can stop him at this point, except for maybe himself. Now on to the man that Jannik Sinner beat in the Rotterdam final. That would be Alex de Minaur. I've been speaking about him in previous videos about where he will end up this year, and here he is, number 9. And he's been playing like someone who should be inside the top 10, so absolutely deserved spot. If you can take away anything from the loss of the title, Alex, it's that you're now a top 10 player. We do need to work on that head-to-head with Sinner, though, because it's now 7-0. Got to make some headway on that one there. But yeah, congrats. You're in the top 10. With his entrance in the top 10, we know what that means. Tsitsipas is out of the top 10. This has been a pretty big story because this is the first time since 1973 when they began doing rankings that there has been no one-handed backhand player in the top 10. This is huge. This is a changing of the technique in the sport. If the top players are not using the one-handed backhand, does it work for this day and age of tennis? We're not doing serve and volley, serve +1 as much anymore. It's really strong baseline rallies, and using only one hand, I don't think it's going to be a conducive method going forward in the sport. This really might be the end of an era. Let me know what you guys think about that one. If you think the one-handed backhand is done for good or could make a resurgence in the future. Okay, now on to the WTA. Huge congratulations to Iga. I feel like every week we're congratulating Iga because she keeps hitting new milestones, but we've got another one. In her 91st week at world number 1, she goes back to back to back. Yes, we have a 3-peat in Doha. The last time that was done, of course, it was by the great Serena Williams. You know, when you have stats comparing you to Serena Williams, you're in good standings. But yeah, Iga goes back to back to back, defending her Doha title. Honestly, it looked like all week like that was what was going to happen. Yes, there was a little trouble in the final against Elena Rybakina, but she found her footing. She got there in the end. Now, one of my favorites, Jelena Ostapenko. She is back in the top 10 at number 9. 2 spots away from her career high ranking of number 7. She is so close, guys. I think we're going to get her in the top 5 before the end of this year, for sure. The lower half of the top 10 on the WTA is a little shaky. We have players kind of moving in and out. Our number 10, Karolina Mukova, she's just had surgery on her wrist. So things could be changing in the top 10 in the WTA soon to come. Okay, now some of the wider rankings, some career highs we have. We have Alexander Bublik. He's reached a career high of number 21. He's slowly rising up in the ranks real quietly, just head down, doing his thing. Much less antics, I feel like we've been seeing from him lately, and it's kind of paying off. Marcus Giron, he's number 44. Alexander Shevchenko, he's number 45. And now, definitely my story of the week, my mover of the week, Facundo Diaz Acosta. He was world number 87 before playing in Buenos Aires. And now he is a first-time ATP title winner, defeating Nicolas Jarry. And he's moved to number 59 in the rankings. This was completely unexpected. Nicolas Jarry ousted Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinals and just was not able to carry that momentum. Diaz Acosta beat him quite easily in that final, I'm going to be quite honest. But yeah, congrats to him, and let's see if he's able to keep this going. I know moving from the clay swing after the Australian Open back into the hard court swing might be a little difficult, but we'll see how he adjusts if he's able to build on that. And very quickly, let's touch on the man himself, Carlos Alcaraz. I know people seem to be raising alarm bells in whatever's going on with him right now. He hasn't won a title since Wimbledon. We've had some great matches, obviously made the Cincy final, and then we've had some real not good matches. People are allowed to have bad days at the office, and I think this might just be what this is, whatever the opposite of a purple patch is. Carlos Alcaraz is a generational talent. I'm not going to write him off because he's having a bit of a tough time right now. To make it even tougher, he has rolled his ankle at the Argentina Open and has had to pull out of that tournament. I don't know. I think it's time just for a little bit of a regroup, maybe to change some of his tactics. He still is an absolutely amazing player. He just needs to steady the ship. I think that's what we need to do right now. But yeah, hopefully the ankle is not serious because he's got some things to defend coming up. Yeah, Indian Wells. So we're going to hope everything is okay there. Okay, and now the WTA wider rankings. We don't have much to update. I've got one for you. Erica Andreeva, sister of Mira Andreeva. She makes her top 100 debut at number 99. She said, I can't have my baby sister having all the fun. So She's throwing her hat in the ring. Welcome to the top 100. And let's see if we're able to catch up to Mira's ranking, because I don't know if I would stand for it if my baby sister had a higher ranking than me. So let's see what you can do, Erica. Okay, that's it for this week's update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Ready? Play.
Señoras y señores, fisioterapeuta ha sido llamado al campo. Vamos a invitar. Senhoras e senhores, o vencedor, Thiago Monteiro. Aplausos também para Carlos Alcaraz. Desejamos melhoras.
Ready? Play.
Hello guys, so again we meet here for an Iga Swiatek match. Again we meet here for a Dubai match as well. This time it's going to be the quarterfinals, obviously. And this one is coming against Qinwen Zheng, so the recent Australian Open finalist, someone who did better in Melbourne than Iga Swiatek did. Is it actually going to be like a bit of a cause for optimism in regards to Qinwen's chances? I mean, we'll see. It's a fast court. It's not something that you guys generally too comfortable with. We'll see. But the head-to-head stands at 5-0. Qinwen still has not won a match like this. Still hasn't really threatened someone like Swiatek, Sabalenka, Rybakina, the big three, if you may. And essentially, Swiatek has been, well, it's probably the easiest matchup for her. It's been the one where she's gotten sets. The easiest out of these three, obviously, not the easiest out of any real group on the tour. She's gotten 3 sets of Iga, but the problem is that, well, perhaps the best stat to sort of show that these sets were not competitive. These matches weren't actually like, it wasn't ever close to Iga losing. Perhaps the best way to show this is that she won the deciding sets between them, the 3 deciding sets, 6-2, 6-1, and 6-1. And we're talking about Roland Garros. Their first match, we're talking about Cincinnati last year, and we're also talking about San Diego 2 years ago. So I guess fairly similar conditions, Cincinnati, Dubai. You could find some common points probably. But still, after winning 1 set, Qinwen did not really endanger Iga there. So there are both, let's say, some silver linings in this head-to-head, but there's also a fair bit that suggests Qinwen is not really going to be, a big threat or the favorite obviously not the favorite, but like a big threat in this match. Who knows if she can pressure the forehand of Swiatek, if Iga's timing isn't as solid as it was yesterday, maybe if the serving isn't as good as it was yesterday, opportunities could come up. It's not Sabalenka or Rybakina who have sort of been demolishing Qinwen and just taking so many assets from her with, just the weight of shot on their both wings and how they basically are able to take the first strike away from Qinwen so easily. Zheng stops the second point, wants a challenge. I'm with her here. I do think that it was out, but if it just barely tapped into the baseline, it's possible as well. Obviously, she will be losing the point if it's not right, and she's not. Just by a thread, it is actually in the baseline. John said it earlier in the chat, but indeed, I will be here with you for 90 minutes, which right now is 79, 78. We'll see if this match lasts longer. It's basically the average length of a Świątek match. However, given that she's playing the Australian Open finalists, we might see a bit of a change in regards to up in regards to that. Ben again watching a Qatar match while we're doing Dubai. Rublev Menchik, I suppose, because that's the only one. Yeah, Terry. Yeah, Iga is playing the same time every day. True. Third match in a row. This exact slot. So the first match of this evening session, if you may. Stevens, Svitolina, Zheng, all the matches in the very same spot. I think she wouldn't really want that second evening match. She usually, tries to advocate for not playing at night at least. Of course, sometimes the tournaments will not give her, sort of grant her that request, but most cases she's not really scheduled for hours like that. So I think that first match in the evening session is just sort of a perfect compromise for the organizers. Of course, this easily could have been the last match as well, given that Świątek and Zheng finished their matches last yesterday, but it is actually the third match. Zheng here with this huge forehand return. Not much that Iga can do with it, but 40-30 still. First meeting between them, Rublev Menchik. Yeah. I'm afraid of that match for Menchik though, because after yesterday, 3 hours and 23 minutes, and the last time this happened to him, really, this was Danderit last year against Medvedovic. He had this crazy match in the second round, that would be. He saved maybe like 3 match points in the second set or 2 match points in the second set, then 1 more in the third. He wasted like 9 himself before he finally clinched the match. It was a crazy battle over 3 hours, and then the next day he was just ruined. He couldn't compete the next day. Everyone there just literally, he showed up, he played 10 minutes, and you just knew that the match was over. He was playing Alexander Blocks then. But we'll see. Is there whiskey in that coffee mug? No, there's water in that coffee mug. And it's also a mug from Aspirin Pro. But it's not mine. I just found it in this flat. So technically, maybe it is mine right now, but it won't be once I move out at some point. Gasquet is the future of men's tennis. Cool. Hopefully he beats Nadal then this year, finally. French Open, maybe. Anyway, first game goes to Świątek. I've drank my whiskey. If you can believe that it's whiskey, Ghosty, I mean, you can definitely. Oh, by the way, Ghosty, you showed up. Yes. You weren't there on the Tommy Paul watch-along. Me and Vansh had the watch-along for the Delray Beach final with Taylor Fritz, which of course didn't end well for Tommy, but still. You were sort of asking us to praise your hero, and we did. At least for large parts of that match. Yeah, now I can't even show you because the cup is over. If it was Murray versus Rublev, would you guys cast that? Cast that as in this. I don't know. Honestly, John just asked me about Świątek Zheng, and I was like, okay. Also, because I only have 80 or 90 minutes, there's probably a better likelihood than that Świątek Zheng finishes in that time, rather than Rublev, Murray Rublev potentially, or even Rublev Menchik, honestly. So Paul had a bad day. I mean, it was quite windy for sure. That's not ideal for him. But he did have a pretty nice second set, just couldn't convert the breakpoints that he had. Well, some of that was due to Fritz, some of that was due to his returning, especially on second serve, which was either tentative or in the net. But the first set, yeah, he definitely came out looking a bit flat and, yeah, just struggling to handle the windy conditions. But we did have to give some praise to Tommy Paul there, so Delray Beach was actually included. Acapulco semis, yeah, and they were both throwing up. Yeah, to be fair, I mean, Paul wanted it on Sunday, yeah, but then again, even moving it to Monday, like he was the guy who was coming for back-to-back titles, right? So, in sort of like in a way, also that one extra day of rest could be helping him, but on the day, I don't think his fatigue was a factor anyway. Is that shot gonna make it in? Really? Wow! But Iga clinches the point anyway with the backhand down the line. 40-30 Zheng still. There was a great defensive get from Zheng, which was like so high up in the air. I think basically sort of left it to the wind to decide whether the ball. Not that it's super windy here, but I'm just saying, there wasn't that much control over the shot. Iga clinched the point anyway. 40-30. One more opportunity for Qinwen to claim this. Of course, at the Australian Open, we did a few watch-alongs of Qinwen, and we were sort of talking about that big serve debate that she has right now, since basically she's the player in the top 50 of the WTA who hits the least first serves, but at the same time, she wins the most points on her first serve, even more than a Rybakina or a Sabalenka. So definitely there are both pros and cons to the style of her serving, which is just basically, go right at it, blast the ball, hit the most risky angle possible, and sort of, accept that your first serve percentage is not going to be that strong. However, you're going to win a lot on these points. So obviously against Iga, who's one of the best returners in the game, it's going to be extra crucial to keep hitting these first serves here. Is it possible to sort of keep the threat level the same, but serve at 60%? Maybe sometimes over the course of the season, probably not. If she was to sort of raise that percentage, it would probably also have to come with some strategy change up in terms of the directions, the power. But it's definitely a fun debate, given that the way she's sort of top of one stat, bottom of the other, and they correlate with each other a ton. That definitely makes for an interesting tidbit. Anyway, Qinwen Zheng down a breakpoint now in the second game. She didn't land that first serve. She just rolled it in, and Świątek is there with a big return backhand cross. This was close to an ace, but I don't think she's made it. So another opportunity for Świątek to potentially attack the second serve of Zheng. She's gonna try. And she's done it. It wasn't honestly that good a return anyway, like it wasn't like the previous two. However, it still forces an error from Qinwen, who doesn't time her forehand well here. So Iga starts with a break. Basically, from 40 love up, Zheng lost the game, mostly because she wasn't landing the first serves, right? Mostly because Iga was also getting good rhythm on the return. So we see a stat on our screens about Świątek being 7-0 against seeded players in 2024. I mean, it's a little meaningless, She's only lost one match. Obviously, that was not to a seeded player at the Australian Open, Linda Noskova. Buskova was the seed that could have played her in the third round, but obviously Noskova, I think she is a tougher opponent. Well, let's say an opponent with a higher ceiling than the seeded player there. But yeah, just one match lost, of course, for now by Iga this year. And if she was to pull off the Dubai Doha double, that would be quite a feat. I mean, she still hasn't won in Dubai. She's only played it 3 times, I think. Lost to Ostapenko, that was right in 2022. That was right before her 37 match winning streak. In 2020, she got blown off the court by Muguruza. And also in the year of 2023, of course, she lost in the final to Barbora Krejcikova. That was the year when she almost did the double. However, this year it would be more impressive because now these tournaments are WTA 1000s. So you need more matches, you get better opposition, theoretically at least. And basically, yeah, you need 10 wins. If you're seeded in the top 8 for both events, then you need 10 wins to win the double. For Swiatek, it would actually be 9, as Pliskova withdrew before the Doha semifinals against her. That's a great point for Zheng, getting into this match a little bit. This is some of that super heavy forehand action that we've been seeing at the Australian Open as well. Playing this winner with a lot of margin, but still sort of strong enough for Swiatek not to have a chance at a reaction. It's a pretty good serve from Iga, though, and she should be clinching this point. Yes, indeed. +1 backhand cross, very precise. She was kind of waiting around there. Didn't really get into sort of use up all the momentum advantage maybe that she got from the serve, but she played with a lot of accuracy, and that was enough as well. Definitely a good start for her. Not only because of the scoreboard, because of course the score could have been a little different given that Zheng was 40 love up in her game. That's a return and a half from Qinwen. They should give out 2 points for something like this. And honestly, it kind of feels like 2 points because, now Iga will be like questioning herself a little bit, right? When she serves, especially to that direction on the outside, because she definitely was not expecting to be just instantly on the back foot after the first serve. But I can't even say she was on the back foot because the point was literally over. So in a way, this kind of is a point and a half for Zheng. Again, doing quite a lot of damage on that +1 backhand cross. Swiatek, she forces an error from Zheng again, and we know that Qinwen is not at her best defensively. Now, she's not horrible. She's not, I don't know, who's like such a offense-only player because they can't move on the WTA. I don't know if there's anyone really. Garcia, in a way. I mean, no, but Garcia can actually sustain a rally if she wants to. She just never wants to. Ostapenko is a fairly okay mover as well. Oh, Alexandrova, for example. I mean, she definitely doesn't move too well. I think Zheng is better than that, but definitely what's been hurting her in some of these matchups, like against Sabalenka or Rybakina, is that she can't play the front foot tennis she enjoys. We'll see if Iga is also able to take that away from her. On the previous point, she definitely was, but now a sloppy error to get us to deuce. Did I see Zhang Monfils yesterday? Actually, no. I was watching Fils Fonseca by then already. And I missed Zhang and Monfils. Not too pleased with the result, but well. Yeah, Terry also mentioning Rune being back with Patrick Muratoglu. That's, of course, one of the big stories for today. Honestly, I like it. I mean, whatever you think about Patrick Muratoglu's coaching, there's a lot of opinions about this on in the tennis media. A certain let's say, tennis commentator. I remember once even like DM'd me to tell me that Patrick has, zero knowledge, and if you check out his videos or like whatever, when you can hear him coaching, then it's cringe. And I mean, that to me seemed a little excessive. Probably the truth, as usual, lies in the middle. But I think for Holger, it's definitely more about having someone in his box sort of to rely on right now and maybe sort out the game a little bit. Zheng, by the way, sets up a breakpoint here with this sharp angled forehand return and then the finish into the open space. However, Iga with a fantastic breakpoint save. She was already sort of in trenches a few times in this point, and then finally comes up with this big forehand counter cross. It was a really sick shot. The serve sets her up for an easy point here. Game point for free love, which will feel a little, maybe a little misleading given that Zheng had a 40 love on serve and also now she had a break point. But then again, you gotta take your chances, and so far the player doing that has been Iga Świątek. Let's see if she can take this one. I think she landed that. Yeah. Qinwen, I think, was willing to let this go, but that's actually pretty clearly in. That's, of course, the power spin combination that Świątek gets on the forehand, which is quite unmatched in the women's game, really allowing this ball to roll into the court. 17 minutes, free love up so far, and pretty electric start for Świątek for sure. Even if Qinwen has had her chances and actually had the opportunity to win 2 out of 3 games. But yeah, with Muratoglu, I think that Holger kind of just needs someone in his team right now, who's gonna be there as like a stable. I think he needs stability, and Boris Becker was not ready or available enough to give him that stability, which is a shame because I would love to see them traveling for the whole year or something. Muratoglu kind of doesn't have much to do now. No, of course. I mean, he can find himself something to do. I mean, he can always train at the academy, right? But I mean, Ghosty, why would he need independence? When you're a tennis player who's like in the top 10 and a bit of a prodigy, you're generally not going to be too independent. I mean, has Iga Świątek developed her independence, for example? I don't know if we need. I don't know if this is something needed, but Sinner should be an example of a mature young guy to guys like Rune. Possibly, but let's remember that Sinner is 2 years older as well, right? I mean, if you compare where they were, where Sinner was 2 years ago, Rune is kind of ahead on the trajectory, I think. So, let's give him time. Obviously, they have very different personalities. If we're just like talking about the mindset, then yeah, then of course they have very different personalities, and I don't think Runa will ever be calm, collected, or and sort of just like Sinner. But then again, it's just who he is. It's also part of his sort of competitive drive and why he wants to be the best. Yeah, I agree, Terry. I mean, Boris would have been great, but it's just that he couldn't commit fully, and if that's the case, then that's not something that Runa needs right now. I mean, of course, they could still continue working in like an on and off basis and from time to time, but well, clearly that's not what Holger wants or needs at the moment. So I guess you're not a fan of the coaching rules then, Ghosty. That's a fancy forehand drop shot from Qinwen. I don't know if I've ever seen her hit it like this, honestly, but anyway. 40 love up now. And we have some confirmation as well in the stats of what we were talking about earlier. I mean, on first serve, Qinwen has won every single point so far. Of course, it's just 2 games, but like she still got broken in the meantime, which just kind of tells you that, yeah, I mean, she didn't land her first serve for like 4 or 5 consecutive points. Rublev Menchik so far on serve, 3-all in Doha. Very quick game to Qinwen. I think she landed like 3 first serves, which again will be a point of conversation basically every single service game for her a little bit in this match, because currently she is 5 out of 5 on first serve and 1 out of 6 on the second. I don't think this will be, the difference will probably start sort of evening out a little bit, but it will stay high. We can pretty much expect that it will stay high. Let's see if Swiatek can keep serving like she has been and just getting these games done. Great point for Zheng now. Very deep forehand, and then she gets that inside in kill, which wasn't honestly that obvious even. Like, it was definitely missable, I would say. She does not miss, and right now we have both of them at 7 winners each. But when it's Iga who's getting the first strike and just hitting a deep, pacey shot at Zheng, usually Qinwen hasn't been able to absorb it so far. And that's what happens here. Another forehand forced error, which of course is forced, but at the same time, we can sort of start seeing patterns as well. What forces her to miss, what brings out the misses, even if they're forced. Another great serve from Swiatek. She's actually been, like, to me, she's been serving better in Dubai than in Doha, which I know might be controversial. Doha, the thing is there, I mean, the court is so bouncy, right? And it reacts to the spins that she uses on serve, not only the flat one, but the sliders, the kicks, it reacts with it so well. But I think here she's actually had some really nice serving rhythm. And the pop from the surface is actually kind of helpful as well. He got the net, and she's going to win the point, but, well, she kind of shouldn't have. It's Zheng missing into the open court. She didn't have that much time on it, but still, it's a forehand into the open court. We've seen some of that from Iga as well this week, approaching the net, not necessarily feeling that comfortable at it. Here it was pretty much forced by that shorter return from Zheng, but she's definitely been like more decisive when it comes to these ventures than maybe in previous weeks. Is there going to be a challenge? I don't think Iga wants it. Yeah, I think it was clearly out. Second serve at 40-15. Zheng going at her. That's a very smart shot from Swiatek, and she has Zheng on the run, but that's actually some much better defending from the Chinese now, and she manages to claim the point. Sort of on the full stretch on the run, she was definitely able to dig out a few big shots from Swiatek, a few big ground strokes, eventually finding that down the line backhand, which was very, very deep again. And it's 40-30. She's still causing some issues. Let's see if Iga can get this game without sort of getting into that. +1 backhand, and Zheng's slice will go out. So 4-1 Swiatek. Still, this has been a close match, but it's not close in terms of the scoreline. And after the changeover, Swiatek will be trying to push for that advantage to become even clearer. Menchik actually breaks in the opening set. Okay. I'm a fan of the coaching rules because it adds intrigue to the game. I'm just saying I would personally try to instill some self-confidence in my player. No, I was talking about Świątek's serve in Doha, not Qinwen's, but but yeah, I mean, controversial in terms of our bubble, in terms of our tennis bubble and Twitter, and how on social media we tend to go into this stuff. And I'm sure if I tweeted that, there would be like one or two Świątek fans who would be like, no, what the guy is talking, what is this guy talking about? Yeah, I do feel like I live in a bubble, man. Yeah, because every single thing sort of in my life revolves around tennis, kinda. So I sometimes do feel like I'm living in a bubble, where the outside world is like not even let in. Well, I do, I have some other interests, but let's say that the current news and sort of the geopolitical situation and what's happening, let's say, around my neighborhood, like these things do not really even make an appearance in my life. And that's why I always say that I live in a bubble where tennis is the most important thing in the world. Qinwen's serve in Doha, I honestly don't know, because she lost pretty early, right, to Leila Fernandez. That was one of her weakest performances in a while, but then again, she recently said that she had some sort of a viral illness there, and that she's already feeling much better in Dubai, which I guess we can see on the court as well. But still, Leila Fernandez is not a horrific loss. Like, honestly, with the sort of consistency that Zheng has been able to bring out when it comes to winning matches, just getting the job done in the early rounds of late, there's really for me like one major step that she hasn't done. And obviously, I'm not like, winning 1,000, winning a slam, yes, like sort of besides those things. And it's really beating Świątek, Rybakina, Sabalenka, like one of these dominators of the tour. Like, that's something that Zheng hasn't been able to come close to, and it's also a bit of a necessary step in terms of progressing her career forward, because you're not going to be winning big titles if you're not going to be beating these three women, or at least that's how it is last year. That's how it was last year. That's how it is this year. But it might not be like that forever, but at least for now, that's kind of the landscape that she has to deal with on the WTA tour. Another sort of, just a minute-long service game, if she can find another big serve here. The percentages have skyrocketed after the first game, but of course she is down the break. Tries to serve and volley at 40 love. That's interesting as well. That's some of the Pereriba wisdom, maybe, although Pereriba obviously was not a serve and volleyer. However, yeah, just throwing in that on a point that's theoretically meaningless. Then again, she lost her serve in the second game of this match from 40 love, and now Świątek finds another big backhand return. So Zheng will be trying to avoid a repeat of that. Again, we can see how important landing that first serve is in this matchup for Zheng. This time she finds it, and she's already ahead, but she hasn't won the point yet. Iga hitting a shot on the baseline again, and now she's in control. But Zheng actually is defending pretty well. Iga down the line forehand, though. I mean, the timing really of hers has been pretty spectacular for the most part. Of course, maybe when you get a flatter shot at her forehand, when the pace is sort of against her. Yeah, but I mean, here, come on. That is a pretty insane point. And of course, all these shots feeling like really safe compared to how aggressively they're played. That's like a bit of a trademark, right, of Świątek, with the spin that she uses, and just the clarity of stroke production whenever she's got good timing. I think that's out as well. So Zheng is going to have to win another second serve point to avoid going to deuce again. I think against Svitolina in the second set of the first set, Svitolina had a 40 love and Świątek won that game on return. She's already done it once to Qinwen in this match, and I mean, she's not that far off. I mean, she's still 3 points off, but she gets to deuce, and suddenly it gets very tricky for Qinwen. But will she get to deuce? The Chinese just lifting the ball a little bit, but it worked. It worked. She eventually got that little more comfortable position, tried to go forehand cross, and Swiatek pulling the trigger maybe a little too early. So 4-2. It got slightly tricky from 40 love, but again, sort of Zheng demonstrated the quality of her first serve and how she basically speedran through the first few points when it was going in. After 30 minutes, 4-2 Swiatek. Still up a break, but it's been more complicated than this, right? It's been more complicated than a 5-2 at least. 4-2, that's probably a reasonable scoreline, but another great serve out wide. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jane, if Magic will win the first set, I will have to start watching that one as well. He is playing for the top 100 today. I think that top 100 is like imminent for Magic. There's absolutely no way he stays out of it in the next 2 or 3 months. Oh, I mean, yeah, that was another stunning shot from Swiatek. The switch here from cross court to down the line on the backhand, just insane. Nice replay of it as well. The footwork, the stroke production. Again, there's nothing really that can go wrong when she has her timing set up like this. Think it's out from Zheng, yeah, 40 love, so it looks like a pretty clear game for Iga. But yeah, anyway, I was talking about Menchik potentially breaking the top 100 today if he wins. As I said, I don't think there's much pressure on him because he's going to do it over the next few weeks anyway, I think. But of course, it would be amazing for him to get it done already. And he's going to be serving for the first set really soon. Last match, of course, against Andy Murray, serving for sets was not exactly going up to plan for him most of the time. So I think he failed to do it in the first set, had to win it in a tiebreak, and he failed to do it twice in the third set, had to win it in a tiebreak. So actually, Menchik served for the set 3 times yesterday against Murray. Twice it was also serving for the match, and he never won a game in that situation. So let's see how he goes. And indeed, I will already turn it on my phone at least. But of course, in the meantime, Iga Świątek 5-2, Zheng going to the net, but just missing that volley by a little bit. This was a very clean game to love. I'm the bad boy of tennis commentary, apparently. Interesting. Would you say Świątek is somewhat like Djokovic in that she wins in a mechanical way? She can play in a very Djokovician manner, sort of efficiency, high margin tennis, like she did against, let's say, Sabalenka last year at the WTA finals. Generally, maybe a bit of a robotic manner, but a different way of performing it, right? I mean, much more aggressive and yeah. Usually, she doesn't play that sort of margin, oriented tennis as Djokovic really. The percentage tennis that he produces, like usually she doesn't play like this. She can though, and she's been, especially sort of last year around Beijing and WTA finals, right? That these were the matches when we saw a lot of that, especially against Samsonova in Beijing, for example, as well. The final where she doesn't make an unforced error in the first set. Just sort of very matchup oriented in terms of her tactics and just playing the match, not just her usual stuff. I feel like that's very Djokovic. That was a very Djokovic-ish performance as well. But in general, like, is she playing like Djokovic here? I probably wouldn't say so. This isn't really like percentage tennis, no. Okay, yeah. FAA, Makes sense. I mean, he is a bit of a serve plus one forehand bot. I wouldn't compare him to either Djokovic or Swiatek, but I can understand why you would call him robotic. He definitely is not too inventive. Some really good footwork from Swiatek here on the defense, but even she won't be able to catch the last shot from Zheng. I'm also watching that Menchik Rublev match, and I mean, the Czech still has enough in the legs, after beating Murray. I don't know if he will have more than than a set, but the point that he just won at 15-0 was certainly quite insane. That last shot barely catching the line, but still, just to get these 20 shots from Rublev back was quite incredible. And I know that Ghosty will hate me for saying this, but I will. Rublev is one-dimensional, and when Menchik is covering the court like this, when he's defending like that, there's just not much that Rublev can bring in, right? He's not gonna go to the net. He's not gonna, throw in a drop shot. He's not gonna throw in a random slice to just break up the rhythm. No, he's just gonna keep hitting. And Menchik is very good at that sort of Hurkacz-like defense, where he's not actually like countering. He's not actually, defending by maybe making it uncomfortable for the opponent, but he's just sort of reaching to every ball, using that extra bit because he's so tall, right? And he's just extending, and extending the point. And he gets the set, 6-4. 6 aces for Menchik and 89% of first serve points won. I will be keeping an eye on that one as well, since it's officially an upset alert and officially a very big occasion if Menchik gets it done. There was a brief opportunity for Swiatek here, 15-30, but it looks like Zheng has fended it off. Another big serve. She needs one more to clinch the game and just say, Iga, can you serve out the set? Was it out, really? It was pretty close. So a second serve for Swiatek to attack. Again, that balance sort of coming in, either Zheng has a big advantage or Swiatek has something she can probably attack. Indeed, she's on the front foot, but she's not going to be able to claim the point. They're trading down the line, down the middle, and eventually it's Swiatek who mistimes her backhand. Anyway, 5-3, Iga about to serve for the opening set. So far, she's had to save one breakpoint in that 2-love game, which kinda ended. It didn't end the set, but that was like basically the last big point that we've seen so far. Because since both players have been just, keeping it steady, keeping their composure on their deliveries, and now we are in this scenario where we'll see if the 5-3 situation changes anything for Iga, if she's able to maintain her focus here as well. Well, Zheng might not give her a chance, as the first serve is a very makeable return that's out. I was just watching how Menchik was super close to winning another point against Rublev just by getting 20 shots back. However, Rublev landed that last forehand on the line, apparently. Iga again not finding the first serve. Let's see if this time Qinwen can... Oh, okay. That's actually a second serve ace. we're gonna have a challenge from Qinwen. Obviously, she's very close to losing the set, so I understand that she's taking it, but I think it was clearly on the line. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you can also do it like this. It was super slow, but just well placed, decent spin out wide. Sure. Fairly love. I wonder if Sara Errani ever hit an ace of her second serve. She was usually hitting like 10 a year of her first serve. So I wonder if she ever hit one of her second serve. I don't know if I've ever hit one of my second serve. I mean, my second serve is basically as strong as Sara Errani, so it would not be strong. I mean, it would not be weird if I never did that, and that's probably true actually. Because why would I hit an ace of my second serve? I'm not Maxim Cressy. Anyway, 30-15 after one baseline error from Swiatek, and again a great serve down the tee this time with that rotation, coming, going away from Qinwen. She's talking to the umpire about something, but I'm not sure about what. Anyway, 40-15, and again the serving has been really good for Swiatek. And it's usually not the flatter serves. It's usually the spinny ones that give her the most. And another forehand return from Zheng goes out. 6-3 now. Pretty strong set for Iga. I mean, she definitely nothing to sort of criticize about her performance or anything. It could have been slightly closer if Qinwen holds from 40 love up. So, a situation which she should be cleaning up 95% of the time. It could have been a little closer if she takes a breakpoint at 2 love. But all in all, I think there's not much sort of debate that Iga was the better player in the set. I don't know. I just started watching it like 5-4 maybe, and basically now I'm watching both. This one on my phone, and this one with Swiatek Zheng on my screen. But I will mostly be talking about Swiatek Zheng, but potentially mention Rublev Menchik as well. That, of course, can be, as I said a few times already, a big one for Menchik, breaking the top 100 if he wins, getting that top 10 win, which, I don't think he's ever really come close to, right? He had his first top 50 win, I believe, against Davidovich Fokina in the first round, so... Yeah, I mean, it's a strategy. I think statistically, I'm talking about what Ben said. Statistically, I think only Cressy is really someone who really benefits from going for 2 first serves. Maybe Zverev in his biggest times of trouble also had that with when he was really struggling with the second serve, but of course these days he's not landing any second serves because he just has an 80% first serve rate. But well, multiple screen. I do have a second screen here. It's kind of visible behind me actually. Well, this is my second screen. However, I don't have it when I'm at the streaming setup, if you may. So that's why I'm using my phone. But generally, I do have a couple of screens. In order to get it here, I would have to remodel my room more or less. So I'm, for now, just okay doing that. Anyway, let's see how Qinwen can hold on. As I said, I have about 35 minutes. If the match is not done by then John Silk will be subbing me. However, at this rate, it's possible that they will finish in about half an hour, but it would require another very similar set from the two players, basically. It would require another 6-3, 6-2 for Iga, but we'll see. Anyway, you won't be left alone with all this. There will be a certain Rio de Janeiro native coming in. That's another big time point from Swiatek. She's been so good on all of these moonball-ish shots from Zheng. I mean, Qinwen is very clearly trying to raise the ball in a lot of defensive spots, and Swiatek just blasts right through it. There's no hesitation. There's no doubt. And she's kind of like Ghosty said, swing for the fences. She's that type of girl. Of course, she's probably not the most swing for the fences type of girl on the WT Tour. You still have someone like Jelena Ostapenko or Caroline Garcia, but maybe it is a spectrum indeed. That thing as well. That's an ace from Zheng, who I think did it on her second serve now, sort of repaying the favor for what Swiatek did in the last game of the first set. And that's a key point as well. I mean, she was 15-30 down, right? So maybe it's just the beginning of the second set, but going down a set and a break is not ideal, especially given that she has not been exactly like coming close to breaking Swiatek in every game. So it was a really big point for Zheng to find that serve on. Ugh. Yeah, Rublev starting to break through the Menchik defenses from what I see. Again, I don't know how much Menchik will have after yesterday, but it's definitely one of the bigger questions in this match because it's pretty clear that he can beat Rublev. I mean, it was pretty clear pre-match. I just wasn't really expecting it to happen after the Murray match. But now that he's a set up, maybe. Well, because one thing is the kitchen, but there's also this thing here. I mean, you can't really see it, but yeah. This here, like, oh, here, I'm touching it now. That's a screen, not the thing in the back. Anyway, never mind. What else do we have here? I guess nothing. There's some good conversation in the chat that I got lost in, but keep going, guys. Still one more breakpoint for Rublev on that Doha blockbuster. Let's see how the Dubai blockbuster keeps going, and especially if Zheng can put on any pressure on the Iga serve, which has not happened for her since the third game of the match. When it comes to the serve potential opponent for Swiatek or Zheng, it would be Goff or Kalinskaya. Of course, Zheng and Kalinskaya, that's a match that we've already seen in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. It was 3 sets. Qinwen won. And when it comes to Zheng Goff, I'm not sure they've actually played, or maybe they've played like once. And it's also like Goff could easily be included in the part of that group that I mentioned earlier, Rybakina, Sabalenka, Świątek, that group that Zheng has not beaten yet, and sort of would potentially like love to get a win over, because that would be a bit of a next step for her. Whereas, of course, for Świątek, she hasn't played Kalinskaya, but she has played Goff 10 times by now already, losing just once. So, I mean, honestly, if she gets through this, Iga's chances for the title right now will be looking pretty okay. I mean, Semifinals, it's Kirstea or that's the other semifinal is Kirstea or Paolini, right? I mean, Paolini probably not the most explosive player in the world, despite her sort of easy power on the forehand and definitely underrated in this regard. But still, she's probably not the best in terms of like causing massive upsets. And also, you've got Sorana Kirstea, whom Swiatek played in Doha and lost 2 games against. So if she gets through here, the double will be looking quite realistic. I mean, she's clearly the main favorite to do it. Was she won before the week? That was kind of debatable. By now, she's obviously the main favorite to get that. Great forehand return this time from Zheng. She's missed a lot of these this entire match. Usually going down the line, though. This time she uses the more safer direction. And if I remember correctly, actually at the Australian Open, that was also a point of discussion when she played Kalinskaya, who of course might play her in the semis here, when for a while she was missing like so many of these first serve forehand returns, but eventually found her range a bit more. Maybe that's also going to happen for her here. This is a pretty important point. Can she keep pushing for a potential break, or will Swiatek just run away with it unscarred? Well, I can't say that it is unscarred, and she's not even running away from it. Zheng finding that backhand down the line. And now we are at deuce again. So things might get quite exciting. And by the way, Menchik has saved all 3 breakpoints, and he's once again just making Rublev work for it really hard. When the defense was not enough in that previous game, the big serving definitely came through on some of these very important points. But yeah, his movement, his anticipation is just pretty insane today, given what happened yesterday and how he went for 3 hours and 23 minutes with Murray. And this is a breakpoint now for Menchik as well. Will there be a breakpoint for Qinwen Zheng? Not yet, at least, as she misses her return here. But if Menchik breaks here, I mean, this will be a palpable chance at getting this match done. I mean, there was no possible way for Rublev to take this any earlier. Like he could have only run up to it and took it off the air. Like basically, there was no other way to take this shot earlier than he did, and of course, he still lands it. 1 game all in Swiatek Zheng. A better point from Iga, controlling it from start to finish, heavy forehands, eventually getting the job done. 1 game all. Brief moment of, let's say, questions when Zheng gets to deuce, but she doesn't actually force Iga to save a break point, or she doesn't, or she doesn't force her into like that much trouble, given the last 2 points went pretty smoothly in Iga's favor. Let's see if the Chinese can keep her presence on the scoreboard. And Rublev did hold, despite having to save that breakpoint, so things looking quite spicy in the Doha quarterfinal. Nice reaction on the return from Swiatek here. Definitely wasn't a bad attempt from Zheng at creating some sort of advantage despite being on her second, but Iga gets very close to the baseline. She picks this up more or less, almost like a half volley, and the timing advantage that she gets out of that is pretty huge. That this return you could make. I mean, I don't know what you guys showing right now. Is it to her box or is it to the umpire? Probably to her box, but she tries to block it with the forehand and doesn't make it. There's a heated argument in the Iga box now. I mean, I don't know if it's an argument, but certainly a heated discussion. Qinwen finds the line with this out wide serve. A dead net court gives Zheng another play, another point here. Sorry, 40-15. She said she apologizes to Iga, but this does help her in the game quite a lot. From 30-15 going to 40-15, and she is on the verge of another hold, which would just allow her to keep maybe piling up some pressure on Swiatek potentially in the next in the next game at least. I'm pretty sure this match will not finish until 5 past 30 my time, so John can start getting ready, I think, unless Iga wins the next 5 games. Rybakina out with a walkover. What's the story there? Gastric illness or something like that. Gastrointestinal, I think, was the name. Was the thing that she gave. How long have I known about Fonseca? Sort of like actively, I would say second half of 2022. That was when he first showed up in a challenge. Well, actually, no, he first showed up in a challenger in December 2021, but he got double bageled in challenger qualifying, and I didn't really notice him. Then I remember watching his match around September 2022 against Jakob Paul in qualifying for Rio de Janeiro challenger, I believe. Then later he had this great appearance in like November or something where I really like truly noticed him because, well, first of all, he played amazing. He beat Tirante and Navone, lost to Bagnis in the quarterfinals, but he was also by UTR sort of just rated as the second best under 16 player in the world. And yeah, he was rated just below Martin Landaluce, who was at the time, of course, the US Open champion. So it was quite big. And yeah, since then, basically, I've been watching every professional match of his that was available because there were some ITFs that were off stream. Juniors, I've also watched plenty in 2023. So yeah, I would say second half of 2022, more October, November. I don't know if Sean was going for the joke, honestly, because it's a pretty regular question. But you guys are talking about something else. I don't know. Is there another Fonseca that I should be aware of? I don't even know, but anyway. Borgson. Anyway, never mind. What's happening here? Love 15 down for Swiatek now. Maybe this is the game for Zheng. She defends pretty well here, and she actually gets an error. It was like 50-50 whether this ball from Qinwen will land in the line. It actually did, and Iga commits a pretty sloppy forehand mistake. Pereriba is very happy about it. Pereriba is pumping her up. this is the moment, Qinwen, he says, even though he doesn't speak, this is what his actions represent. He's very excited, and so is Qinwen about the possibility of playing this game from love 30 up and potentially getting a bit of a shot at least to trouble Iga. But this is a makeable return that Zheng should have gotten in. Leo Borg, yeah. Leo has been like sort of improving on his own, let's say, pace, which is good for him. I actually think all the challenger wildcards that he was getting and all the unnecessary attention was not working in his favor. I mean, he's gotten himself to a pretty decent level. However, it seems like he's also taken a step back recently because, yeah, in 2022, 2023, I think he's won a few ITFs, 3 or 4. 2024, 3, I'm pretty sure he's won a 25K as well. However, then when he played the Challenger Tour and sort of started trying on a regular basis, he was not getting wins. Even when he had opportunities, like against Koray Kirchi, I think, in Istanbul, for example. And this year he's 1-5 so far. I only remembered, I had to check this now, but I only remembered him losing 3 times in South America, where he lost 3 times in a row in Challenger qualifying. So yeah, it's not been going that well for Leo this year, especially. But as a whole, I mean, he's definitely improved and he's gotten himself to a solid, I would say, 400-ish in the rankings level, which, again, I mean, I think it's better for him to just not really get any more opportunities because of his name alone and for him to be allowed to develop at his own pace. Then again, I never really criticized him for taking these openings because, well, I mean, someone offers you a wildcard to an event you wouldn't usually be able to play. What are you going to do? You're going to decline because you're like, no, I mean, this isn't my track of progress. I shouldn't be taking this yet. I mean, no, of course you're going to capitalize on the chances that you are given. It's just that, I don't think this was beneficial to him really in the long run. Anyway, this is going to be a breakpoint first since the third game for Zheng. She lost the first 2 points from love 30, but now she finds a deep return. Iga shanks her forehand, and this is the moment. 30-40. First serve from Iga is a let, bounces a bit, dances on top of the net. However, it makes it in. And let's see now, 30-40. The serve is long, so a nice opportunity here for Qinwen to potentially attack. She missed the second serve return at love 30. Will be trying not to repeat the same mistake. It's definitely a safer option from Iga here. Let's see how she plays the point, though. Qinwen slicing the ball back. Once again, the squash shot, I mean, it's pretty good defense from Zheng, but eventually there's just not that much interest on it as well. And when Iga played it very safe, just carefully building up the point, backhand cross, forehand cross, then eventually that finish. Also of a pretty tough ball, I would say, from below the net. Yeah, not much she could do because they're with her defensive resources here. I mean, she was extending the point, but she wasn't actively pushing Iga to make a mistake, and the pole kept her composure for sure on this point. So it's a very nice breakpoint save for her. And now she finds an ace, or at least I think it will be classified as an ace. Zheng was very close to touching it. I'd still say it was an ace probably. And a game point for Swiatek now. Hour and 4 minutes into the match, she's had to face her second breakpoint of the affair, and she fended it off. She saved it very, very quickly. I mean, very quickly, not quickly, but sorry, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do when I leave. But anyway, I didn't mean quickly, of course. I was just trying to say that she sort of played very patiently and impressively, maybe, is a better word, or anything you like, really. Let's see if she can clinch the game, though. It's a nice inside out from her, and backhand cross is just perfect again. 2-all. She really has such good timing so far on these Dubai courts. Maybe it would be different if she played someone who like even goes at her even more than Qinwen can, but I mean, the last couple of rounds. Honestly, I kind of feel like the match against Stevens helped her a lot because she spent 2 hours on this court in the second round. And one could say maybe that's not ideal because you're coming off the Doha title, you want to conserve energy, right? But Sloane is like a bit of a Sara Sorribes Tormo type of opponent, which I think in Beijing last year when Swiatek played Sorribes Tormo in the first round, it really allowed her to ease into the event a little bit. And I think Sloane kind of worked in a similar manner, where like she gave Swiatek a lot of rhythm, a lot of balls to play, a lot of practice simply in that second round. And now I think part of why she's looking this good against Svitolina and against Zheng, of course she might still lose here, but like up until now, part of why she's looking so confident and like so just finds her timing so easily on a court that usually is not considered very suitable for her. I think part of that is the Sloane Stevens win. Ghosty, this is her average. Because you're saying that Zheng's first serve percentage is 51 for the match, not good. But over the course of the full year of 52 weeks, she literally has an average of 51% on her first serve. So we can't really say it's not good because that's kind of what she does in every match. Of course, if this magically goes up to 60 and still she's going for it so much, then yeah, I mean, she becomes one of the top 3 players in the world probably. But without taking some angle, some pace away from it, it's hard to pull off. 15-30 now, and she has to be very cautious here after losing that breakpoint in the previous game and now missing a +1 backhand, which she kind of just tried to go for it, instantly in a Rublev-like fashion on that shot ages ago already in a match that I'm not even commentating on. 15-30 though, and that match as well, 4-all. So might be an opportunity coming up for Menchik, which would be pretty massive. And again, yesterday he was not serving out against Murray, but maybe today he will against Rublev. Let's see if Swiatek can convert this point because she's ahead. And the ball clips the net from Zheng and flies out the stadium almost. I mean, not the stadium, probably just into the stands, but it did fly off the camera angle. And this is 2 breakpoints for Swiatek, who, of course, still hasn't been broken. So a lead of a set and a break would be massive, even if in the previous game she did have to save a breakpoint. Come on, guys, Rublev Menchik, finish this point because I have to watch Swiatek. Okay. Oh, and I missed the point, but apparently it was a big serve from Zheng. So 1 has been saved by Qinwen. Let's see if she can also find her first delivery on the second serve. She goes down the tee and she misses it. I like that she's like, despite that whole conundrum about her serve, she's not like frustrated when she doesn't land her first serve. She's just like, yeah, okay, I'm taking out the ball. I'm going to serve again. Anyway, second serve, and she's in the point, but I think she's just missed that forehand. I mean, not much pressure, really, that Swiatek was able to put on her here, so this is a beat on Zheng for sure, but 6-3, 3-2, and actually Iga has a set and break lead now, so suddenly maybe finishing this up in like 15 minutes is possible, but we'll see. I'm not going to push it, but you will see. Rublev 5-4 on Menchik. There was a slight moment of uncertainty as well, definitely at that 15-30, but very long rally as well at 15-30, I have to note. but he eventually gets the job done. I think on the screen we also see the stats that Ghosty was mentioning earlier. Of course, yeah, Qinwen with about, well, actually, no, the stats must be wrong, like, because Ghosty earlier was saying that she's landing like 51% of her first serves. Stats say about 63, but I would assume that's simply, yeah, she's about a 50, which again is just the usual for Qinwen. So that's literally her average, which is, I think, very uncanny, because you don't really, well, not uncanny in a good way, I guess, but you don't really see it at the top level. Just no one is going for you for their first serves like this without that much regulation. But again, she makes it work because she's also winning so many points behind it. 80% in this match against Swiatek. Let's see if Iga can keep holding 6-3, 3-2. A set and a break now, but is it safe? No, not yet. Is it safe? That's the marathon man. I just realized. And that was definitely not safe in that movie. A lot of people probably stopped going to the dentist after watching it. Has Iga said which were her favorite players that she looked up to? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I mean, definitely Rafa, right? I mean, but I don't know if there's anyone really on the women's. I don't recall instantly, but certainly Rafa. I mean, that one is obvious, but otherwise, I don't really remember. Probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure she must have been asked this many times, but yeah, I don't know who was her like idol on the women's side, but Rafa for sure, yeah. And she's sort of going for a similar Roland Garros type of domination, but of course she's still far from it. 14 titles for Rafa, just 3 for Swiatek, but theoretically she is on a fairly similar win rate. I mean, 28-2. I think it is her record at the French right now. Might be wrong on that, because she won the title 3 times. She also reached the fourth round and the quarters. So yeah, it should be 28-2 with the losses to Sakari and Halep. This time Zheng taking that forehand return a little further behind, and it seemed to do the trick. Like, she was basically waiting for it a little bit more, got a more comfortable strike zone position, and she was able to find the return winner down the line. So 15-30 again. Things not coming that easy on serve for Iga the last couple of games. This backhand barely goes in as well, but she wins the point. A few really heavy shots, one of them essentially on the baseline, perhaps not too clean, but then the next forehand is too much for Qinwen to handle. 30-all. And in the meantime, I see that once again, Rublev and Menchik are like really going at each other. 30-all now in the 5-4 game in the second set. Menchik is basically 2 points away from losing the set, but who knows? He's still on serve. Swiatek wins the next point. Another forehand return from Zheng thrown out. I mean, yeah, sometimes she gets a big winner here, but it's not like she's fully found her range on that shot, which does tend to be, I guess, a little bit of an issue in the matches of her that I've watched. Serving wide to that forehand, and then usually you'll get some points coming your way with not that much of an effort, I suppose. 40-30, Swiatek. And that's 4-2. I guess it's time to put on the light, turn on the light, even if I'm only gonna be here for like 5-10 minutes more, but it is dark as hell. And suddenly, deepest, darkest Poland has been revived. Everyone in Poland used to watch Radwańska, but was she ever a big idol for her? Maybe she was. But yeah, it's kind of unavoidable, I suppose, if you're a Polish player coming up. If you were coming up in the 2010s, sort of learning to play tennis, you definitely watched Agnieszka Radwańska. Yeah. Right now, Agnieszka Radwańska is a bit of a controversial figure in the Iga fandom, because sometimes people criticize her for like being jealous of Iga or something. I mean, most of these utterances from quotes from Radwańska are taken out of context, but I mean, she has said some pretty weird stuff, let's say. But for the most part, I think they're mostly taken out of context and definitely quite exaggerated, I would say. Things are getting quite scary for Zheng now as Swiatek wins this point. That was a pretty tough volley at the end. I mean, theoretically open court, but still she had to play it like off the service line. It's never that easy. And that's love 30 now. So things from mildly scary for the Chinese have gotten frightening right now. Frightening, I should have said. Full beast mode lately, says Ashley. Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, the way she's played so far in Dubai, which, as I said earlier, I think some of that is really due to her tough match against Stevens in the second round, giving her so much rhythm and practice. But the way she's been looking on these courts in Dubai is definitely quite surprising, like how clean her timing is for the most part, and also how well she's serving. I do think that she's really serving well. Hopefully Nurlan is not listening, because he doesn't like when people say that, but I don't know if it's improved, but she definitely is serving well this week. And now that's 3 breakpoints, which basically could end the match at 5-2. Not yet, though, as Zheng finds the forehand winner down the line. John is now sitting and like thinking, are they going to make it before Damian has to leave? Are they going to make it? I can't tell you yet. I mean, if it's the next game, yeah. Elena is off to play some tennis, have fun. I thought initially when someone said, Terry said, bye, Elena, it was to Rybakina, but no, it's to Elena Zurti. Elena, of course, Rybakina just kind of said bye by herself today by withdrawing. And that's Qinwen Zheng saying bye to the match as she double faults. So 6-3, 5-2. Swiatek still yet to be broken in this match. She theoretically should get the job done, as she will have 2 chances. Is Andre playing right now? Yes, he is. He is in a very tight scenario in the second set. He lost the first set 6-4, and now he is 6-5 up in the second set. So one more chance for him to break Menchik before it gets to a tiebreak, basically. And yes, it is a very exciting match, absolutely. And it's good for Menchik that he's able to keep up with him despite the tough match yesterday. I mean, Rublev literally played 57 minutes yesterday. So the difference in terms of fatigue, energy levels, it definitely had the possibility of being massive in this match. And so far, it's not been like that. So far, Menchik is keeping up with the Russian. And that's very good for his, long-term prospects as well, because the last time we've seen him trying to survive something like this, he was not ready. And let's see, Iga Świątek trying to serve it out after 80 minutes. Qinwen might be able to start swinging a bit more freely here. She crouches to hit that one backhand winner. If you're here, then just get on. But I will have to leave in like 3 or 4 minutes essentially. So whatever your call is, John. I can stay here by myself for 3 minutes, and we'll see. Maybe the match is just over until then. We'll see. $15 anyway. Świątek 3 points away from the match. And Zheng throws out another forehand return, and she wasn't even stretched to this one, This is just fully on her. 2 points away now from making the semifinals in Doha for the second time after last year. Did that return tap the net? I think so, but she still had a lot of time to hit it. So Swiatek definitely has been looking a little bit more sort of on edge in this game, I would say. But I mean, this guy is sad now. 30-all, but still, Qinwen is in the match, pump her up, get excited. What are you doing? But yeah, Iga definitely looking a bit more on edge in this game, so we'll see if this is something that Qinwen is able to explore or not at all. Is it gonna be another 410 miss from Zheng? I don't think so. This one she actually landed. Iga was expecting it to fall out. She just gave this squash shot response back. If Zheng breaks here, I'm definitely leaving right away. And I guess after the next point in general, I will have to leave. So. And by the way, what's going on in that? Menchik really fighting for his life in the 12th game of the match. It seems. And yeah, Swiatek saved the breakpoint with a big serve. So Yeah, this is my cue for sure. Hello, John. Yeah, I'm just gonna look off.
Yep. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
And
So you have me for the remainder, however long the remainder happens to be. Just plugging my mic in. We have a break point here for Zheng, although it has been saved, as you can see from the scoreboard. Hello, everyone. Hope you were well. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. You might have me for 1 minute. You might have me for 5. You might have me for 10. I was muted all along. You missed my legendary 2 minutes of commentary there. Can you hear me now, Terry? Some amazing commentary you missed out on there, by the way, to seal that match. I was talking about Swiatek getting a neck cord and all sorts, and not apologizing. Over to Rublev Mensik, who are into a tiebreaker, by the way. Can you hear me now, by the way? Let me check. Do a quick sound check, shall we? One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. You can hear me now. Great. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't turn my microphone on. One of those things. You missed out, as I say, on some legendary commentary there at the end. But Iga has got the job done. 6-3, 6-2. I have Mensik and Rublev into a second set tiebreak now on my screen. But I shall also be heading off to the Rio Open as well shortly. So, yeah, this is from me, over and out. And to everyone else, you know the drill.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Play.
Welcome back to Talking Tennis, everyone. My name is Bianca, and it's time for another rankings breakdown. Let's get into it. Okay, for starters, we have to give a huge congratulations to Jannik Sinner. He is now our world number 3 with the title in Rotterdam. He moves up, replacing Medvedev in a spot. And honestly, he's number 3, but really he's been number 1. He is in a purple patch this year. He has been the best player far and wide out of everyone on the ATP Tour. He is undefeated, and he seems unstoppable right now. Like, he has just found his form. He's clicked, he's locked in, and I honestly don't really know who can stop him at this point, except for maybe himself. Now on to the man that Jannik Sinner beat in the Rotterdam final. That would be Alex de Minaur. I've been speaking about him in previous videos about where he will end up this year, and here he is, number 9. And he's been playing like someone who should be inside the top 10, so absolutely deserved spot. If you can take away anything from the loss of the title, Alex, it's that you're now a top 10 player. We do need to work on that head-to-head with Sinner, though, because it's now 7-0. Got to make some headway on that one there. But yeah, congrats. You're in the top 10. With his entrance in the top 10, we know what that means. Tsitsipas is out of the top 10. This has been a pretty big story because this is the first time since 1973 when they began doing rankings that there has been no one-handed backhand player in the top 10. This is huge. This is a changing of the technique in the sport. If the top players are not using the one-handed backhand, does it work for this day and age of tennis? We're not doing serve and volley, serve +1 as much anymore. It's really strong baseline rallies, and using only one hand, I don't think it's going to be a conducive method going forward in the sport. This really might be the end of an era. Let me know what you guys think about that one. If you think the one-handed backhand is done for good or could make a resurgence in the future. Okay, now on to the WTA. Huge congratulations to Iga. I feel like every week we're congratulating Iga because she keeps hitting new milestones, but we've got another one. In her 91st week at world number 1, she goes back to back to back. Yes, we have a three-peat in Doha. The last time that was done, of course, it was by the great Serena Williams. You know, when you have stats comparing you to Serena Williams, you're in good standings. But yeah, Iga goes back to back to back, defending her Doha title. Honestly, it looked like all week like that was what was going to happen. Yes, there was a little trouble in the final against Elena Rybakina, but she found her footing. She got there in the end. Now, one of my favorites, Jelena Ostapenko. She is back in the top 10 at number 9. 2 spots away from her career high ranking of number 7. She is so close, guys. I think we're going to get her in the top 5 before the end of this year, for sure. The lower half of the top 10 on the WTA is a little shaky. We have players kind of moving in and out. Our number 10, Karolina Mukova, she's just had surgery on her wrist. So things could be changing in the top 10 in the WTA soon to come. Okay, now some of the wider rankings, some career highs we have. We have Alexander Bublik. He's reached a career high of number 21. He's slowly rising up in the ranks real quietly, just head down, doing his thing. Much less antics, I feel like we've been seeing from him lately, and it's kind of paying off. Marcus Giron, he's number 44. Alexander Shevchenko, he's number 45. And now, definitely my story of the week, my mover of the week, Facundo Diaz Acosta. He was world number 87 before playing in Buenos Aires. And now he is a first-time ATP title winner, defeating Nicolas Jarry. And he's moved to number 59 in the rankings. This was completely unexpected. Nicolas Jarry ousted Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinals and just was not able to carry that momentum. Diaz Acosta beat him quite easily in that final, I'm going to be quite honest. But yeah, congrats to him, and let's see if he's able to keep this going. I know moving from the clay swing after the Australian Open back into the hard court swing might be a little difficult, but we'll see how he adjusts, if he's able to build on that. And very quickly, let's touch on the man himself, Carlos Alcaraz. I know people seem to be raising alarm bells in whatever's going on with him right now. He hasn't won a title since Wimbledon. We've had some great matches, obviously made the Cincy final, and then we've had some real not good matches. People are allowed to have bad days at the office, and I think this might just be what this is, whatever the opposite of a purple patch is. Carlos Alcaraz is a generational talent. I'm not going to write him off because he's having a bit of a tough time right now. To make it even tougher, he has rolled his ankle at the Argentina Open and has had to pull out of that tournament. I don't know. I think it's time just for a little bit of a regroup, maybe to change some of his tactics. He still is an absolutely amazing player. He just needs to steady the ship. I think that's what we need to do right now. But yeah, hopefully the ankle is not serious because he's got some things to defend coming up. Yeah, Indian Wells. So we're going to hope everything is okay there. Okay, and now the WTA wider rankings. We don't have much to update. I've got one for you. Erica Andreeva, sister of Mira Andreeva. She makes her top 100 debut at number 99. She said, I can't have my baby sister having all the fun. So She's throwing her hat in the ring. Welcome to the top 100. And let's see if we're able to catch up to Mira's ranking, because I don't know if I would stand for it if my baby sister had a higher ranking than me. So let's see what you can do, Erica. Okay, that's it for this week's update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.